Good evening and welcome to the December 16th meeting of the Barrington Planning Board. First item is to mention that you will, Marcus, first name, Marcus will be a full voting member tonight. Roll call can start with Scott, please.
Kakin here.
Capiello here.
Tessie, you're here.
Alec present.
Driscoll here. Also with us is Town Planner Ernest Creveling, James Jennison, Zoning Administrator, and Barbara Irvine, Planning and Land Use Administrative Assistant. Next item is we were just going to invite our guest Steve Whitman to speak first because he has traveled a long distance and there's a long distance to go. So it's just brief. So that is proposed zoning amendments related to his contract. Please go ahead.
It's a nice surprise. I was back there just working on notes. Thank you, John.
Right.
How would you like to do this? I had a conversation with Jamie and Ernie today. I could bring you up to speed on that if it would help the board.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've been grinding through edits to now the Dove portion of the town center district. And Ernie and Jamie had a meeting today that they can speak to, but we've had a couple rounds of edits and questions from town council on it. What I would say, and I talked with Mark Fougere before coming down here today because he couldn't be here today, but there are some clarifications and some minor edits that I think we could still make if this continued to another public hearing and should make, just to address some of her concerns. Some of her bigger concerns are with the fact that it's a form-based code. It's not something you see very often. I think it probably makes attorneys nervous. I don't want to put words in her mouth. She said things to you. You can share what she said. But the district sheet, the map, and kind of the approach with a conditional use permit, that's very, very familiar if you've used a form-based code before. And the intent is to really flip what zoning is on its head and make it based on the placement and the massing of the buildings and less on uses alone. And I think a lot of what is really good. You've had to pull it together pretty quickly, and I'm sure that some of you don't feel maybe as good about it or maybe as on a steady footing as you'd like to. I think it's workable, especially because you just decided to do it as a pilot with just the Dove district to start. And I guess the last piece I would say is we can help you if you decide after tonight to continue through the hearing process and to bring it to the town and see if they want to endorse this. We also have about $10,000 left in hot funds. And so we can use those funds to do some additional work sessions with the planning board. We can create even like a user guide, kind of like a decision tree for both the planning board, but also for any developers that were to come in, and use this process to see if we can poke any additional holes in or see any additional standards that would be helpful to do in 2027. And then lastly, Mark wanted me to mention that we could also assist if an applicant were to come in this year while you have the hot funds, we could assist the staff and the planning board walking through the process. So I just wanted to offer you that. Ultimately, we've been enjoying working with you. Whether you decide you're comfortable bringing it forward in 2026 or not, doesn't impact us. It really needs to be what you want to do as a town and how quickly you want to move forward with the town center. So I don't know, Jamie and Ernie, if you have anything you want to share.
Any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you could work through it, but I think it will take some concentrated work. And it's, the next hearing would be January 6th, and then after that, you probably have opportunity only for one more. That would probably have to land on an in-between week on the 13th of January. But there is some time, and it's. Again, I think Steve looked at these and he is correct in that this is a different way of doing zoning.
Right.
And I think a lot of the concerns that Laura had maybe, but although she does have some experience in this, because I know in Concord, they form-based zoning for a long time. So, but anyway, that's, I think it's workable if you want to take the time to try to do it. But then again, if you're uncomfortable with it, given the scope of the comments, I can understand that too.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can resolve everything that she's mentioned. Jamie?
I'll just, yeah, add to, Laura's concerns being just a short time frame, that implementation. But I feel confident that the board is up to the task based on the parcel and the makeup of the board at this point. Like Steve had mentioned, if it was, a larger zone, or a complete zone, or a bigger parcel, I think then, a little bit more time would be prudent. So I can, I'm literally on the fence and I could go either way. I could both support the idea because I think that it could be quite positive. But there's also a good argument for pause and taking time to, dig into it and make sure the board understands it. If they choose, they can move forward with support or, pause and get your teeth into it. So.
Comments?
Well, I would like time to read through this. This is the first I'm seeing of Laura's
Yeah.
comments.
I guess just in general, the danger is we go forward and what Laura's saying is it's not legally allowed for whatever reason. Is that the real risk here? And therefore we go through this process and we end up going back to the existing rules.
Yeah, she did not articulate well what individual cases. I don't know if she's still working on them, and that was her reason for not going into detail or just time constraints. But she says she's doing a lot of work in Dover and she's been in court a few times. And I don't know if that's on applicants filing against Dover, Dover filing against applicants. So it's hard to say what that problem is. I think it's just that it's intentionally vague with a lot of latitude for the board to make these decisions and waivers and adjustments to get the product they want. So I think that while it's cumbersome because it's fluid, it poses challenges, and some of those need to be worked out in court, I guess. My idea, we talked to Steve about, and that was not the original plan, was to leave an underlying zoning district. So much like a conservation subdivision, if you don't want to do it, you have conventional zoning. So we could leave that underlying zoning where you'd still have access to a PUD and you'd still have access to the base lot density and square footage and frontage requirements, because one of her concerns was, some of the parcels that we're looking at, they're working together in this capacity, but what if they decide not to? And all of a sudden, somebody develops their parcel under this form-based code, and then the other ones pull out midway. My answer to that was, well, show us you have access and keep going forward, right? They're going to have to negotiate that they got access to their parcel for the no frontage and the no, some of the other stuff. So I think it's all doable. There's workarounds for all of it. If the board has the appetite to engage in it, really. And then at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, they go back to conventional zoning and, the underlining zoning with the 20,000 and mixed use buildings. So.
Yeah, the one other thing I'd add to your point, Scott. So when Dover was the first to adopt it, but they're not the only town in New Hampshire to have a form-based code. There are half a dozen or so that have at least a district or so that have form-based code. When Dover's was adopted, it was new to all of us. And I got thrown to the land use planning wolves. I got put in a room in City Hall with 12 attorneys who were pretty convinced that this would never work in New Hampshire. What they did was they helped identify a lot of issues that we ended up addressing with the Dover code. Your code is not nearly as complex as Dover's. Yours is more like the Lancaster smaller town, smaller village code. Those same land use attorneys came to the planning board when it was adopted because they were in favor. And Dover has had it since 2009 because it's working. So there may be issues along the way that she spoke to, and I think you're going to find that everywhere. You guys run into issues with regs you have in place with stuff that comes up. But the staff and the planning board have been really happy with the way they've oriented theirs, and they're getting the results they want. This needs to be oriented for you to give you the results you want, whether that's now or a year from now.
So
You
they
get to
run the
decide.
court over the basis of it. So it is allowed under current statute.
It's totally allowed. It's an innovative land use. It's one of many that exist in the state.
We give developers a choice and us, whether or not you do choice A or choice B, existing or forms based. Can we write
Well,
that
I
in
guess
there?
on those 10 parcels,
I mean, I would be leery of, we talked a little bit today, we didn't have a lot of time, Jamie, Ernie and I, but if it became piecemeal in that Dove district, you could have buildings to the front of the lot, buildings to the back of the lot. Have you really created a village? Just leave it the way it is. I don't know that people would want to work against their best interests. This gives a lot of flexibility. It really gives the developer some ability to give you what it is you're asking for, a village pattern. But there's a potential that somebody would say, oh, I don't like it. I don't want to do mixed use and I'm going to do single family homes to the back. And it doesn't sound like that's what people are looking for in the village. So,
But to Scott's point, couldn't you, we have an option for conservation subdivision. Couldn't you offer both? That this is a path you can take, or this is a path?
right now, I would say offer this path only in the Dove district, and you have the other alternative in the other three sides of town center. And think about whether you want to expand it to make it the only path forward. I think it's different than a subdivision choice of conventional or conservation. You're trying to create a place that's walkable and mixed use, and you can only attract so much activity to this location. So if you give a choice, it'll just it could be a smattering of things over time. Maybe not hit the mark of what you're talking about, what your vision is.
Anybody else? So if people thinking we go to the January meeting, at least in an attempt to resolve some of these things? Seems to be the consensus.
If you choose to do that, I've gone through the comments that Ernie sent this afternoon. I think there are some very clear edits that we can make this week and get to Ernie and Jamie to take a look at and out to all of you. And then we could put together a memo of kind of like some of the other stuff that could be done. And then you can still decide at any point through this process that you want to hit the brakes if you do.
It seems like it's you're interacting with our lawyers going to be the critical path, right? They have to get it down and agreed before really it should come to us.
Well, I think that can happen. I mean, we've got the comments now, they're pretty detailed.
Yep.
And Steve obviously has done this before. And her examples that she gave were straight from Dover. And you've had experience there as well. So I think we can do that. We can advocate with her, probably her approval by January 6th.
Okay.
So could you also get her general thoughts as well? Present that to us, not just the details of each of the individual pieces, but what she sees as the benefits and risks as well? Sure. Looking for an article, right?
I mean, I think if it's helpful too, probably to do it between now and the holiday is going to be tough. But if she wanted to maybe meet with us, we could do like a Zoom before the 6th to make sure that we're explaining to her how this has worked in other places and we're answering as many of her concerns as possible. It's quite possible that she's not focused on the vision of creating a village the way you are. So she doesn't have maybe that skin in the game, but she's trying to protect you from making a mistake, right? So if we can find some common ground where she might say, like, I wouldn't go in this direction, but it seems like you've done everything you can to make this workable. We'll bring whatever we can to you, and then you can decide as the board.
Well, it might be enlightening to find out exactly what she has been doing in court over there. That,
right.
That way we can address those directly.
Right. And I can talk to the staff over there and just see if I can get
Did you
some
want a roll
information.
call on this to continue it, or just?
So we're
consensus
suggesting a
is
Zoom
fine?
call with Laura at one of our meetings for all of us. They-
Or at least we could at least report back to
Make a
you.
motion to continue
Yeah.
the public hearing.
Get together and make sure that they have consolidated joint views and then come back to us.
Okay, I can do that. Yeah, you see if there's anybody online who wants to.
She hasn't commented yet on our other zoning, right? I don't see anything.
Continue it.
Recess.
Yep.
We'll get to that.
Hey, any more comments before we actually officially open a public hearing on this? Opening the public hearing on the zoning part of the agenda. Any comments by anyone? Anybody online?
People online.
If there's anyone online that would like to speak, unmute yourself or raise your hand. No action.
No action? Anybody in the audience want to make a comment? Hearing none, I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing until January 6th.
January 6th.
Okay, roll call.
Second. Kathy and
Yeah.
Capiella, why?
Tessie, aye.
I. Alan,
Driscoll, aye.
Mr. Chair, can I clarify, that's just for this, for the town center.
Portion.
The rest of the public hearing, you're just gonna recess now.
And then we're gonna finish
it later
that
on.
when everybody
Okay.
else is done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Steve. Next item is item 3A, 232-19-NR/HCO 25, parentheses, FUB. Judy Fogarty, a request by the applicant for a full lot subdivision with a 9.6 permit and waiver located at 1252 Franklin Pierce Highway, map 232, lot 19 in the neighborhood residential highway commercial overlay district by Christopher Berry. Welcome.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. Christopher Berry with Berry Surveying and Engineering. Told my wife I'd be home by 7, not knowing that you would bump somebody else ahead of me, so I'm gonna be,
Yeah, you know.
I'm gonna be real brief, all right? I don't believe
Should we send a note?
I can just race it home.
You see, we got waivers, 9.6.
I know, there's a lot here, but not really. So, to recap, this application has been before the board as part of a design review hearing that we had a couple months back. This is a joint project that we're working with Ray from Stonewall Surveying on, and Judy owns approximately 21 acres on Franklin Pierce Highway or Route 9. We're proposing a 4-lot subdivision. There's an existing 4-unit building where we're proposing a large lot around that. That lot size is determined by the minimum amount of square footage required for each additional unit on that particular parcel. The other 3 lots, there's one, what I'll call a Form A lot or just a frontage lot that is basically takes up most of the field, if not all of the field at the front of the site. And then 3 acre lot there. And then we're proposing 2 back lots. The back lots are proposed at the driveway access point in the westerly direction. And so there'd be a total of 3 driveways from that one location because the abutter currently utilizes that driveway to access their lot. That particular area is where we're also asking for a 9.6 buffer impact. We're able to avoid any wetland impact on site, and there's a very small amount of buffer impact essentially as you enter into the lot in the neck. There's a small amount of buffer, approximately 3,700 square feet. That area is largely field now, and there's going to be almost no topographic change that takes place in that location moving forward. In fact, the driveway to the 2 rear lots is essentially just going to glide right along the high point, so there's no drastic or radical change in topographics in that area. And then we have received a special exception to allow for the middle lot, the one with the most frontage along Route 9, to take its access off from the easterly driveway. And this is due to the fact that NHDOT will only permit 2 driveways on this particular site. That has to do with the total amount of frontage, but also sight lines. And so I think as we presented to the board as part of the design review, we're working with DOT to improve the sight distance in those areas so that both of those driveways now have 400 feet of sight distance in both the east and west direction. So for that one lot that would take its access off from the existing driveway for the 4-unit building, it would essentially just pull in and then dive right into the lot. There's no need for any extensive easement there moving forward. And as Mr. Allard pointed out, we require a waiver to Article 8, 8.1 to permit a lot that takes its access not off its frontage, and the regulation continues to opine about fee simple access and things of that nature. So with that, I'd be happy to try and answer any questions the board has on the application itself, the waiver, and or the 9.6 application.
Comments?
A couple of questions, Chris. What is the longest driveway? Does any of the driveways exceed 1,000 linear feet?
I would say no. I
Okay,
mean, the existing one might, but the new one does
none
not.
of the new ones do?
No.
Okay, I saw on the new driveway to the east, the required 16-foot paved apron.
Yep.
I didn't see it on the existing driveway. Is that,
DOT will require that now. So we originally were not proposing any changes to the driveway itself. And so we weren't proposing an apron. But now DOT is going to make us change how that profile works. And so we'll propose an apron.
okay, that's not on the drawings though, right? You're gonna add that?
No, yeah, we'll add that. That was sort of a recent discussion with DOT, the changing of the profile.
Okay, well, we require the 16-foot aprons. That should have been there anyway.
You require it on your town roads as a state road, so you can't require it on a state road. But we would propose it on this particular one.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any comments?
No, I just, you have to take action on the waiver request
Yep.
and the 9.6 special permit.
Right,
And you do have a draft set of
should
conditions.
notice of decision, right. And did we have, going through here, when was the application accepted as complete? Wasn't, was it?
30 seconds from now.
Yeah, it hasn't been.
That's what I thought. I didn't see it on the paperwork, so I said, am I wrong again? Okay, any more comments? What we'll do is accept the application as complete, take a vote on that, and then you can get into the waiver and the 9.6.
I second the motion to accept the application as complete.
Roll call.
Jack and I.
Capello, aye.
Jesse, I.
Allard, aye.
Driscoll, aye?
Driscoll, seconded by Allard.
Right, yeah.
So we're asking for a waiver pursuant to your regulation 8.1. The regulation that we're requesting a waiver to is 11.2.1 parens 1 to promote lots that are shaped in a manner that promotes clarity of ownership, access across fee simple or free title land rather than easements, and to promote the convenient and harmonious development of the land. In short, the parcel has limited access points. There is no way to develop this without easements. It's being developed in such a way that the easements are, one, harmonious with the backlot ordinance, but two, harmonious with the existing curb cut, and that we're able to essentially enter and then enter right onto the lot. So there's no, large expanses of easement areas. The hardship to the applicant would essentially be removing the ability to subdivide simply because the access points are limited.
Any comments?
Well, I mean, I hate access over easements. I mean, but I think this property where, there's really no other way to do it. So
You making that motion?
make a motion, we approve the motion to, what's the number, Chris?
11.2,
11-2,
11.2.1 parens 1.
11-2-1, project 1.
I'll second that. Roll call.
Jack and I.
Capello, aye.
Jesse, I.
Allard, aye.
I'm in the. Yep. Great. Next, we got the 9.6, if you'd like to.
Yep, so as I pointed out in my presentation, there's approximately 3,700 feet, 3,620 square feet of impact within the 50-foot wetland buffer area. The criteria for that is that the proposed use is in keeping with the intent and purpose set forth in the ordinance. I think this is a pretty basic subdivision, and the request is fairly small and is in keeping with the ordinance. There's no, advertent or intentional, I should say, impact to wetland buffers or wetlands simply to try and reach to an area that we shouldn't be reaching to. This is basic fundamental access in the state of New Hampshire into private property. After review of reasonable alternatives, it's determined that this is the most feasible area. I think, as I pointed out in our writings, that there are other areas that we could use for access, which would actually create more impact. So this is, in fact, the most reasonable and least alternative. The proposed structure or use must be set back as far as possible from the delineated edge of wetlands. We've shifted the driveway to a point on the lot where we have adequate sight distance in both directions, and then essentially just taken a straight shot in. Topographically, it's the best location, and then deviates away from the wetland buffer moving forward. Appropriate erosion control measures, we've demonstrated on the 9.6 plan that there are 2 barriers proposed, whereas we're within 50 feet of a wetland. It's customary to have 2 sediment and erosion control barriers, and there are construction details that talk about seeding rates, stabilization rates, and temporary sediment and erosion control. Any disturbance in the surrounding buffer zone must be repaired or restored. And here again, everything that is proposed to be disturbed along the edge of the proposed driveway would be loamed and seeded and then restored to its natural state, which currently is essentially a farm field that's maintained by the current owner. Oh, there's a 6th one, sorry. All available mitigation. This really is a test for much larger impact areas, in my opinion. In this particular case, the impact area is excessively small. The actual contributing area to the site doesn't really warrant mitigation, unlike other applications that I've had before this board where we've had buffer impact, but also the site warranted additional mitigation, typically stormwater mitigation. In this particular case, it does not.
Any questions, comments, motion? I'll make a motion to grant the 9.6 on this
I'll second it.
application. Roll call.
Shepherd, aye.
Kathy and I.
Capella, aye.
Tessie, aye.
Allard, aye.
Aye.
Driscoll, me.
Okay. Any more comments before we go to the notice of decision?
Should probably open a public hearing.
Oh. I'll open it to public hearing. Any comments?
I love it when the applicants.
Anybody online?
If there's anybody online who wishes to comment on this application, please raise your hand in the air. Nobody?
Okay, closing public hearing. I'll make a motion to grant the notice of decision.
I'll second.
Shepherd, aye.
Kathy and I.
Capella, aye.
Tessie, aye.
Allard, aye.
So you're conditionally approved?
Thank you. Enjoy your night.
7,
Hey,
Chris.
7 o'clock. Everybody's not home.
I tried to
Told her
push it,
she'd be
but
home.
you were slow on the
Not
uptake.
responsible for his promises.
We don't read them anymore.
Right, that's right.
Yeah. If, you can be the reader in the future if you like.
Motion,
First, second.
John and Bob.
Yep, yep, sorry. Yeah, we should raise our hands. when we-
I'm not looking at you.
I know, yeah. But that way it'd be caught on video too. All right. Next item we have 121-28-DR-25 SR Vision. Owner Todd Green, Barrington Shores LLC. Request by the applicant for board reviewing the drainage changes and as-built campsites located in 7 Barrington Shores Drive on 24.8 acres, map 121, lot 28. You welcome? Sure. Just name and affiliation.
Sure, my name is Tobin Farwell, Farwell Engineering Services. I'm here with Ray from Stonewall Surveying, and Todd Green is available as well. So Barrington Shores was approved back in April of 2021. During construction, changes were made that affected the drainage system. So I brought along the approved drainage plans sort of show the differences. This was the approved drainage system, right? So the intent here is everything flows through a large detention area, and also has one central point flows through a swirl concentrator Shea proprietary product. Catches with a catch basin system and a treatment swale, funnels it there. They found out during construction that they had excellent soils, so they worked out a system of removing a lot of material on site, and they shrank the system to pre-catch basins. It still goes to the swirl concentrator, and the detention pond was created. I was called out there this fall to comply, to ensure that it was built according to plan, and so these changes were noted. It was also noted that there was a topography was forcing more water towards Hall Road, so we had proposed to put in a leaching catch basin in this area to catch that, and noting that the good well-drained soils in the area. It was also noted that this catch basin to the northeast was above, there was an existing swale, so I proposed that we core into the catch basin, but the contractor went out there and he was able to regrade it and with the catch basin the same. So there are a few minor changes, but the intent of the drainage system is to collect it, send it through a swirl concentrator, put it to the detention basin, where it's eventually released and goes to the lake. So that is happening. Anything that we have not caught, we did a leaching catch basin again with the note of the well-drained soils. Seemed like a good alternative. So that we started talking with the town, and they said that was significant enough changes that we should bring it back to the board, discuss it with you, make sure that everybody's on board with the changes that we proposed. That's where we're at.
Any questions?
Is this getting an engineering review by our engineer?
The original design was, but these changes have not.
Big project, proposed project, impact, it's the same, there's no changes?
No changes, right? So the drainage analysis, I would say, holds up still. The drainage analysis of all the flow goes to the detention basin, where there's a outlet control structure. Slow release allows sedimentation to settle out, and then keeps the peak runoff rate from being too high. So that is all happening. The swirl concentrator eliminating, heavy sediments is happening. It's just the configuration. There are less drainage structures now. So I would say that the drainage system is working. Drainage analysis will still hold up.
Town planner?
Yeah, I just wanted to state, the planning board did not require CMA to review this. And in the conditions of approval, it just said, sign off by the professional engineer. I think that's why when we went out there initially and found those changes, that we thought it was necessary to have Mr. Tobin come back and take a look at it. So he's their engineer at this point. CMA was never required to take a look at it for the board's original decision. So that they could get off the table at this point, especially since you have the engineer record here presenting to you.
I had one other issue that it seems like the notice of decision, which required that a buffer be built on the berm facing one of the homes, adjacent homes, described as following. It should be of sufficient makeup that it would emulate having a solid fence. And I'm wondering if that had been built. Does anybody know if that's been completed? Is that an issue?
Yeah, let the applicant speak. This came about from a site visit where they've started to use the project site prior to finishing the project. So that's kind of what spurred this moving forward. And so there's lots of infrastructure that has not been completed. And from my perspective, they kind of went about it backwards. There was no attempt to build it the way it was. They just built what they wanted and said, oh, it worked better, and then came back and said it worked better. Because I went through the meeting to refamiliarize myself. And so the end of that meeting said, we'll see you again to finalize landscaping and the rest of this stuff.
Right.
And this
That's-
is the next meeting, I guess. So I think this is the opportunity for the board to finalize that landscaping. Yes, there's supposed to either be a fence or vegetative buffer that's equal to or better than a wood fence. There's berm construction that I don't know if it complies or meets the original intent of the application, as well as a tremendous amount of tree plantings that were required in the original approval. Not to mention the trees that were removed that were not supposed to be, but because they found them to be dead, they just took them anyways, type of explanation from what I got from the minutes.
So at least that the condition precedent was that the fence or the buffer significantly representing a solid buffer.
Correct.
That is still in play, right?
Absolutely, yes. This has not been finished, as the occupancy, if you will, has not been granted because these things are all
Good. I was
missing.
wondering about the
still.
occupancy. Okay. Any questions? Now, let me, Ron first, and then happy to let you speak, sure.
And I drove by today and I've driven by before, and there's trailers there, so it sounds like occupancy has happened.
It has, right. We've had this discussion. This was what was pushing this. A deadline was given to come back to this board or move the campers out of there until they finish the project.
And the campers are still there today.
But storing them for the winter, I'm not looking to,
I mean,
put
my-
anybody over a barrel, but yeah, that's the, it's
description,
been 2.5 years,
Your description kind of was my impression when I drove by. A lot less trees and a lot less,
Oh, yeah.
landscaping to provide visual
Everything
barrier
was just
than
clear cut.
I was expecting.
Yeah, I don't believe in my interpretation, and, they didn't follow the site plan at all. They just kind of got in there and did whatever the excavator thought was a good idea and, and thought it was going to be fine. And that may be their experience in other towns. I don't know.
I also believe it was addressed by Andy in the meeting when they came before us a year ago, that because they lowered the elevation, they were building that berm and they're choking out a lot of the trees on Hall Road. And Andy's fear was those trees dying out and replacing them. And it was told to us that, yes, they'll be taken care of. They're either gonna dig them out or replace them, and that hasn't been
That
done.
hasn't been done. So just adds to the list, I guess. So. Please.
Well, I was gonna basically say that, part of with the last meeting, the fence had kind of gone.
It was a discussion, but it was never voted on or approved. It was a change from a solid vegetative buffer in lieu of fence. So it was kind of left up to the applicant to do one or the other, not gone away because of the berm. Because I printed it out this morning because I wanted to make sure we had the correct language.
I wasn't here for that.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the trees on Hall Road, was on Hall Road. The tree companies have been doing a lot of clearing along the road itself. So some of the vegetation in that area has been removed, the elevation change that we did to drop everything and flatten everything out, which overall is a better, safer design than original, but does provide visual barrier. It still needs, razor out that's, have been planted some. Six. Everybody this area now. Provided we got. Six, 10.
Yeah, I'm going to.
We'll still talk, I mean, when I drove by, I saw some evergreens that were planted in a couple of years, there'll be decent Christmas trees, but, they weren't very impressive now, let's put it that way. They didn't provide a lot of screening, is my view.
Okay, any more comments before I open it to public comment?
I do have a letter here from Ms. Montano that was, actually was given to us back in late summer,
All right,
if you want to.
yeah, yeah. Oh, you want to,
Pass it
yep,
out.
yep, pass these down.
Everybody have a copy of it.
Yep, great. There's a note on here attached to this letter that she checked with a local landscaping company talking about green giant arborvitae, 5 to 6 foot tall. Currently will grow to 30 foot tall and 15 feet wide, and to be spaced 7 or 8 feet apart. I'm wondering if that's what was planted.
Nothing, I would, and the applicant speak to it, and Mr. Bisson's commentary that it's better, it still wasn't what was approved by the board. And so for the applicant to come forward with a different application that the board can approve or do what was required, I guess is my recommendation. I put up on the screen the original vegetative buffer with a fence to add, I mean, and there was a substantial amount of trees. Within 30 days of removal of trees from this project, the owner shall provide a mix of 1 to 2 inch caliber evergreen trees, 5 to 6 feet in height from the list noted below. I mean, so this should have been done in conjunction with, but the commentary was, you know, we're moving, we're still in construction back in 2023 when they visited the board and continually. So
this becomes an ongoing process for you.
you know, in a typical project, yes, it's under construction and you certainly wouldn't plant trees that you're gonna then bump into and hit with your excavator. Several years later, I think you'd plant the trees, but that's my opinion. But this is what the board approved in that area. I brought up on screen along with the fence. There was also some commentary about the fence being now this high because of the buffer. Well, the planning board approved the fence on top of the hill, not at the bottom of it, and 6 feet following the contour of the land. So it would still be required on top of the berm, not at the bottom of it as they've articulated in past meetings.
Right. Okay, any public comment? Anybody online would like to speak?
If there's anybody online who'd like to comment, please raise your hand digitally. Nope.
In the audience, please come forward. You can also
Adjust the cameras.
sit here. Just pull the mic a little closer to you, please.
Ms. Patano, could you speak into the microphone?
We're being recorded, so. Thank you.
About the barrier. I am very concerned. It's going to be 90 next year. House has to be sold. I got 2 sons. They're not the type of people will get the best of us very easily. No, that's us. Never mind. I take responsibility. But coming back again with the barrier. I have an idea. I might, please, make you welcome. Well, if you have a tree in the driveway, that's a. But I think I have an idea. Why not have trees? Make it look nice. That be done. That you have a tree and then have a little fence. And it would look nice, and that's just an idea that occurred to me. I would feel
Well, Lucio's open to anything.
that, we
I've been
talked
over her
about
house a
it,
couple
so,
times, we looked. I treat again,
I mean, you don't even
there's
know,
another 5 afterwards, but I was open to listening to it, we need to be more.
I mean, you don't know if the trees are gonna survive. I mean, arborvitae's, if you put that, gonna chew them to pieces. I don't know where that my backyard, I had to put that down. And they're right there, so why not, I mean, find trees that, that can survive, that are hardy, or maybe have a barrier and a license, and you could convert to one stone. I don't know how that's just an idea that I had.
Sure.
To solve the problem, because right now, when I look out my window, there are all those vans. I mean, God, I grew up in East Germany, that's not trouble.
Last thing you want is a wall, right?
You gotta believe it, I grew up among the Russians, so please,
Yep. I know.
So that's nothing if you really, but I mean, I want that solved.
Okay.
That's all, come on now. I said to Todd, please,
Yep.
give me a break. It shouldn't be that difficult.
Right.
Just, I thought, I have a tree and a barrier. It might even look nice. Hey, you could even make putting bear or squirrels or paint it on there. Look at you, the kids in your campground would be happy. And my son's here right now said, oh, here she goes again. So just
Yep.
get it done.
Well, Jamie's,
I mean, the house problem, like I said, it needs to be,
yep.
God knows.
Well, Jamie is going to continue to watch this.
Okay.
And if he
Yeah,
had,
how does that sound? I mean, it would be, give and take.
It's, as it stands now, it's either or, a combination, I think, is what's been approved by the board. And so in the end, those things will have to be there unless they come back to the board and get a different decision from the board.
Yeah.
That's how I,
But it needs to be done, honestly. I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, I don't have that only problem, the other problem is how that be encroaching in my property, so. That should be done, come on.
We were the encroaching people.
No,
That's
not
somebody
you,
else.
that's
Okay.
another problem. But the point is that should be done.
okay.
I mean, come on.
And can you use good-sized trees? 5 feet's not so tall.
Yeah, but they're not even that high.
I
Not-
called Lucy and I said, what kind of trees would you like to see over there? So she investigated a little bit.
Not that high.
And she told me the place she saw and I thought 3 to 5 footers, and I went back and got the next size up from them with the next 5. They're supposed to grow, I forget what they said, how many feet per year.
Yeah, but
So, well, I know it's gonna take time, but if she like I said, in the springtime, we'll take a look at it. If we need something else, then we'll plant it and make this happen.
Okay.
Something
so I
taller.
think there should be.
Yeah, I mean, we've had an open communication, she has my phone number, we talk, and I've actually even brought her into the choice of the trees. You know what I mean? So I went over to the house and sit through and look through the windows, see where they were, and I have my guys go mark them off, and we plant them the best we could. We put another 5 in, and we said, let's see where this goes, and we'll do another, whatever.
if I,
Taller, a little
yeah.
taller.
if I could interject, I mean, if the planting was done to the specifications and then this was in addition to, I think this would be a great conversation, but you haven't even met the minimum of the site plan review to then add what was required to add. You're just trying to,
Basically finished at the beginning of the year, construction.
again, I want to interrupt you. This is, I mean, the site plan, this is years in the making and you're using the property when you're not supposed to be. And that's why, I take an issue.
I had to,
I know, I know, but you had to dig it out deeper without permission. You had to do all these things
We came back for that.
after the fact.
No.
It was done.
We came back and asked for a plan, which made we took off probably 15 feet, which lowered all of the tops of, instead of being up into the trees, which when the excavators came in to dig, they said, we're gonna kill all these trees, we're digging the pipe through, it's gonna be treacherous up there. And when the arborists came through, they were all the pines, he said, they're all dead, you can't save them. So to me, I wanted to see trees in there. It's hard enough to try to rent the place without trees. So that was what happened, but we lowered the place down by at least, I'd say 10 feet. So now instead of seeing a hill and the trailers up on the hill, they're down below. So all we have to do is plant the trees across. You won't be able to see into the park as much as you can as it was before. I thought it was a better design. It stopped the water from running off a lot more. We have it all level. It runs around to where it goes to the basins, and it's more accessible for fire. In case something happens, there's more room up there for everybody to get around. And we came back for that. The only thing I haven't done is the landscaping yet, because just finished at the end of this season here, we went ahead and do the grading. We actually, hit the berms with the grass and stuff like that, the grass started growing, and now in springtime, I'll go back and see what needs to be done for trees. I couldn't do it, ran out of time to fall, my mistake, sorry about that, but did the best I could for Lucy, and whatever has to be done in the springtime, we'll do it. I haven't in for anything, and I've been trying to do this as best I can, be a good neighbor for everybody for the whole time I've been doing it. Never tried to take advantage of anybody.
Okay, board have any comments?
The only I do want to point out is approval is for a tree, which is, I think it might
That's the original plan that Jamie put up.
be
Yeah.
So Jamie will be following up on this to make sure it gets done.
So that is one portion. Within 30 days of removing a tree, an existing tree, you were supposed to replant those. In addition to any 12-foot diameter area that was identified as having not enough vegetation was required to have shrubs shall be placed as necessary to round out the visual buffer. Along the buffer, area excluded locations except for number 3. Any 12-foot feet in diameter void shall be identified, and 3 evergreen saplings shall be planted in that area. And this was in addition to a fence. I mean, so, you know, trying to ignore it, that's, I guess.
We talked about, we put the berm up, we talked about it. The fence was, you guys told me that we didn't need the fence.
That's not true. I will read from the minutes. It says, verbatim, unless you'd like me to read it exactly, it says, well, the fence is kind of moot point now because we got the berm. Member said, well, I don't know. And then it got off, and what about vegetative buffer? Okay, meeting went off, maybe. They never voted on it. They started to read the notices and said, what do you want to put in there? And one member said, well, I like it better, but it's going to be as thick and dense as a solid fence. So take that for what it is. That's a solid.
If the fence looks better, then we'll
It's not what looks better. It's what was approved, either a solid.
Let's not put the fence in. I mean, I'm just saying, whatever comes to the springtime, let's sit down with Lucy. If she needs a fence in her area, I'll put a fence.
I think that's what you're missing. You keep saying that you're going to talk to the neighbors about what they want. You've been approved by the Barrington Planning Board for a site review to do a thing. If you don't want to do a thing, you have to ask the board for a different version to do that thing, right? And so they've given you 2 options at this point, and you're saying, I'm going to talk to the neighbor and do what she wants. You have to.
I'm just asking openly, what do you want me to do then? I'm just saying, I'm trying to.
I won't speak for the board, but I think they're going to say what you approved to do.
I'm just trying to explain.
This member of the board would say, talk to the zoning administrator, the building inspector.
But, what would make Lucy happy? She's the only one who's here who has a concern of it, so I'm just trying to make sure that she's satisfied. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, but we had the discussion of, particularly about her property, the visual impacts of that. And a lot of the discussion was making sure that she was screened from the project. And, when I drove up there, I don't see that. And the other thing is, this is a condition of precedent, right? So this is.
Was
This
before
is not,
even construction.
after
started.
construction. This is before this is before. This is before you can occupy the property. You gotta have those things done, and they're not done. So, saying it's gonna be done, or we did this, or we did that, is not satisfying me.
It'll be done first thing in the spring.
So is it really occupied now?
It sounds like.
They're closed for the season currently.
Well,
That should be undone, right?
I mean,
When did the drainage end up, finish up that work?
well, let me follow Scott's point.
Okay, go ahead.
Was there anybody camping there this summer? Okay, there you go. Shouldn't have happened.
Sorry about that, but I had to do it, or I wouldn't have the money to do anything else left.
I think if you needed a phased plan, you should have come back to the board and said, I can't do it as I agreed to do it. I'm proposing a new plan instead, and you didn't do that either. So right now, you're in a situation where you're asking for consideration, and I'm not in a real mood to grant it because you didn't comply with anything you were supposed to
I
do.
wasn't trying to do anything And if I had known that you wanted the vegetation in there sooner, I would have put it in sooner. I'm sorry about all of this, but I just got a little overwhelmed with the project where I was running out of money. I was basically out there doing it myself at the end. And I just went, borrowed a bulldozer, I did the work myself at the end. That's how I finished it off. Couldn't afford anything else. In a lawsuit with one of the contractors there, they screwed me for about $70,000, but going back and forth with them. So it was just one of those things where they packed up and left, and, it's just more than one thing. I'm not trying to give you a sob story, I'm just telling you what happened. And I'm trying to do my best to not get anybody aggravated at all.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that, and I'm trying to be sensitive to that, but our job is to protect the abutters and citizens of the town. And that has not been done, and that's a concern for us.
Occupied right now, period.
You shouldn't have occupied.
That is very obvious.
Condition of presence got to be done before anybody occupies.
So we need a fence
So-
and vegetation?
At this
Well-
point, could we do something to say before any of those campsites are used next spring? All of this has to be in compliance?
I think that's what should have been.
What
I
time should
agree,
camping
but-
season
Yeah,
start?
I mean, but we can say that, and
But
it's,
it's being
Right.
used
doesn't matter.
right now.
Right.
But it's not, they're being stored right now because of winter time.
Sure.
Whether the owners come back and occupy, the trailers in the summertime or spring, whatever, this should have been done before anybody did that anyway.
Mhm.
So what Bob's suggestion is really the intent of the first decision.
Right.
Nobody can occupy it at least. things are done.
Got to fall back until that note, to that notice of decision for conditional approval. That's,
But I guess I'm going one step further. I'm saying you went further than you're supposed to. You got occupancy. And why shouldn't that be, I understand no one's there now, but there are structures there that shouldn't be there. I mean,
Well, I mean, the trailers.
otherwise, what's the big deal for anybody? You can just do whatever you want.
There's no
The planning
consequences,
board,
what you say.
yeah, no consequence, no reason to listen.
Well, the applicants are citizens too, so, I think, to me, they're there, taking them out, leaving them in, it's not consequential to the butters, I think, if there's no camping there. I think when there's camping there, that's when we were worried about the butters. Yeah, thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.
That's, we were worried about the impact of the butters, and that's when they're camping there. And so I don't think the impact doesn't look good, but it's definitely different now than it is when there's campers there.
Right, but it is functionally, no one's there, but it is occupied. He's probably getting rent for that. He's probably, there's real reasons why those campers are there.
What if we said by the end of May next year, he had to have a fence and all the planting completed? You could do that by May, by the end of May. And the camping season is starting at that same
Thank you for
time.
listening to me.
Oh,
Like I
you're
said,
welcome.
Todd is right, we have been talking, but I thought my idea was not a bad one. Have an intermittent fence, trees, might even look nice. And I'm sure, how does that sound, what I said?
Well, or maybe a complete
Whatever-
fence. Do we want
Some
intermittent?
progress, and it would look,
Intermittent.
and my trees are not barriers, I repeat myself, they really are not. I mean,
Right.
it comes right down to it. So putting, having that intermittent fence in there might even, like I said, he could paint it, make it attractive looking or what. And again, I repeat myself, kill two birds with one stone, who knows? Okay, that was my idea. Thank you for listening.
okay.
Nice to meet you all.
Jamie will be, if you have any questions,
All right.
Jamie's the
Very
guy,
good. Okay.
the sheriff in town.
I hear what you said, Joyce, but condition of presence before anybody occupies the property, I think we're on stronger ground to say that, than pick a date.
So, well, camping season is going to start in May, so, we could time it,
It's the
so
same thing, it's the same thing.
it could be,
Yeah.
you have
same
to be
thing,
done.
Same thing. You may or before anybody occupies is kind of the same thing, functionally.
Yep.
Okay,
I think before anybody occupies
Yeah, I think that's stronger.
for the next season.
So be specific.
So,
Fence
wait,
and
go ahead.
What do we?
Yeah, so at this point, they must be pretty close to project completion, so why wouldn't require that before the next season?
Well, you won't be able to do the plantings till April or May.
I think we just said that.
You can do it in
Yeah.
April.
I think we're with you on that.
Yeah, okay. And the fencing you can do as soon as the ground.
so
thaws.
we're just reviewing the drainage changes here. I mean, we're not voting on anything, and I guess the drainage changes have been looked at by Jamie, obviously, right? And I guess I'm trying to say,
Well,
were
the-
they
I mean,
completed at the as-built?
To give, I guess to give some history and backstory, I requested the engineer of record to sign off that it was built as I normally would for an occupancy. When we went out to visit the site, it was apparent to me that the drainage was not what was on the plan. And so it gave me pause and I looked into it. And so that's where I think some of this came about with the new drainage, that it was, you know, I don't have the expertise or the authority to say that one's as good as the next. You know, the original plan had 5 catch basins and this one had 3, and they were covered over, not being used at the time. And I understand they were under construction, he was trying to keep debris out of them or what other reasons. And so I guess it would, the question would be to ask the engineer of record what's left from the approval that needs to be completed for final occupancy, and go from there. If the board approves the drainage as revised.
I'll make that motion that we do as Jamie.
Well, I mean, he's here, I think we can ask it, you know, to the, you know, if the board wants to ask the engineer of record what's left, if he knows, if that assessment's been
If
made.
you have a list of things that still need to be done, or everything is essentially complete.
We saw.
You can use this one here.
Sure. So, once we started communicating with the town, you know, we said we're gonna come back to the planning board, so they said, well, why don't we hold off, maybe they would require you to do something differently, we're not sure where it's gonna go exactly, so we've stopped the, green light means go. So we stopped the inspections at that time. So yeah, so what you see, the plan that you have before us, I guess I have not looked at the leaching catch basin, and I have not looked at the swale, the catch basin that receives runoff from the swale.
Oh, okay. Things still on the list then. Okay. So make a motion that we continue this till all of the required drainage fixes are complete. Does that sound, is there a second?
Or do you want to give a time and date specific, or?
I'm not sure those work. Do you have an input? Can you do 30 days maybe?
I really don't know how to proceed. I don't, you know,
The
without,
winter, everything's frozen.
right. So not knowing what's not done, I don't know where to step off. I think the only thing I know is that probably put a fence in, as, you know, Joyce said, May 1st, have a fence in, and then maybe a second deadline for the rest of the stuff. You know, I think my experience is that it's occupied, and so you don't do much construction in an occupied campground when they're paying X amount of dollars for a week or a month or a day. So I think that
But
contributes to the slow.
technically, there's no CO.
There's no CO. There is the safari, the way it was approved, the safari was existing, so we had a conversation around that those were existing campsites, and there was nothing that said that they couldn't use those. So that first section technically was always a section, it was just getting rebuilt, so I didn't have an issue with that. The new section was the new section, even though there was construction going on the other section, so,
Okay.
yeah, I guess, you know, a phased finishing, but if, you know, a
You
fence.
hate to
on-
give dates or anything because they really. haven't
Yeah,
worked that
I mean,
well.
you know, I don't know how you cannot, or what you can do otherwise, you know, and I think because at this point, the cease and desist could come, you know, and the padlock goes on the gate. It's to that point, you know, so some leniency with a phased development using, because the critical infrastructure does appear to be there, septic, power, water, but it's, you know, so I assume that's all functioning and good. But it's still an assumption.
You have a list of 2026 dates, for brand new list. I mean, you could have them come back in May and report on where they are,
Okay.
if that makes any sense to you. It just is up to you.
Yeah, well, it's not up to me. I don't, it's up to the board. I just,
Well,
I
the
think
board
I'd want to see
has no
everything done
expertise
before
in
it's
what's
occupied again
going
next season.
on.
you know, when,
He
you know,
comes
it's
ba-
a difficult.
So May 1st, a fence, trees in, and he comes back with photos on May 5th or whatever our next.
Yeah, what's the first one in May, the first Tuesday? Okay.
Serve the cease and desist.
I guess my question though is, per Jamie, there was an option to do fence or an equally vegetative barrier.
Right.
They
Which is
should
wide
probably,
open.
they should probably come back and present something that satisfies that requirement before they install it. I mean, because you don't want them to install it and then we say, no, it doesn't fly.
Well, they have to start with the landscape plan that existed on the conditions of approval, right? That
Yeah,
Jamie
but
posted.
as Jamie said, whether it's a fence or a vegetative buffer equally,
Yeah, no, that's
It's
what
up
the
in the
note,
air.
that's what the notice says.
somebody should present which way they want to go. The applicant should present where they want to go, and we should prove that.
Right.
Right, so they could do that next month.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Come with the landscape design.
yeah. Yeah. I
How's
think
that
they should do that right away.
Yeah.
No surprises down the road.
But we won't allow occupancy until it's done.
And
Right,
what's the
that we would
next
expect
meeting
this
date?
done by May 1st.
That's what I was saying.
Or a phase plan that we approve.
January 6th.
Right.
Get that in, then they can get a temporary CO for those spots to finish up maybe lingering items, once they get that barrier in to satisfy at least the neighbor.
And then they have a drop dead date for a cease and desist if it's not done.
That would be my recommendation.
Okay.
Okay, so first we get them come back January 6th, maybe they can give you some plan.
Or if
If they want another day, we'll give them another day.
right.
Yeah, that might.
If they want later.
Just to show. I think that's what it is. Just
Yeah,
get it
They might,
consolidated.
that's only a couple weeks
Yeah, give them a little
Maybe
more time.
energy.
with 2 holidays in between.
Yeah,
We're
they need.
looking for a landscape, a revised, an updated landscape plan.
February
What I
3rd.
was gonna say is a couple of things, was, for you guys kind of, so one, I was gonna ask about the phase. If the drainage kind of signed off, so the engineering part is done, what's left is landscaping. They can kind of that partial CO. So that way they could. The other thing is we already kind of have, well, there's already a landscape plan. We use that as a guide, it was originally what was approved. At that point, Jamie becomes, overseeing that, sure that it's.
Jamie, do you have pictures?
What's the
Submit
revised
pictures
one?
Of a revised landscape plan
It was,
or drawings?
I'm saying in 2001, when they came back in 2023. They got lowered.
Right.
There was a landscape plan submitted then.
But of course, we don't have that in front of
Let
us.
me see if I can,
Wondering if,
um,
when it comes to landscaping, which is, it's not that far off from what they have.
2023, huh?
They use this as a guide for doing the vegetation. You know, Jamie kind of goes out there and he's looking and he said, okay, well, according to this, okay, it's walk, that's the entry, so the vegetation that's there, the vegetation, board fence, fern, you know, that looks good. Maybe this area down here. so we-
Oh, there you go. That's what he showed on the screen.
Close enough.
Jamie,
what's, sorry?
this is what you showed on the screen.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's the original,
okay.
correct?
This is 2023, isn't it?
That's
November
September
3rd,
2023.
So that's the revised.
Okay.
Okay, and what does that one say pertaining to the fence?
That looks like the same as the original to me.
I think there were some changes on it.
This is the 2022 I printed.
Okay,
That,
which is similar to that?
well, I think these are the two pictures. I think it's a.
Oh, I said just
It's
a
just,
blow up.
it's the same plan to me,
Right.
it's just a different campground layout. I don't think they changed anything in the landscape plan.
Yeah.
And it's certainly, you know, if
I
it,
thought there was a change on the, change in the burn.
pardon me?
I thought there was a change on the 2024 pertaining to the fence.
I
Actual plan.
did not, I don't see
Doesn't
that,
show
and
a
I don't,
fence.
you know.
Just the old stone wall, right?
Yeah.
Jamie, do we see and approve the 23 plan?
Pardon me?
Did we see and approve?
You know, I wasn't at the meeting. I would assume that you did. But I just went off the discussion in the video of what you talked about.
I don't remember seeing it.
And that's why it was my understanding that it was not revised. It was just the campground layouts. Because the meeting was for the campground layouts, and then the other things came up in topic.
Jamie, it's approved. We approved it.
Yeah, it looks like I.
You approved the plan. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 2023 meeting was for a revision of the campground layouts to go from the scattered to the lineup.
Right here.
And in that meeting, the conversation came about the cutting down of the berms, et cetera. And then the conversation, well, you know, kind of the fence doesn't do any good now. Andy had brought up the continuous vegetative buffer, and in the end, it was either or is fine with me. And so it was never voted on, approved one way or another. It was the fence and, well, I'm fine with a solid wall with vegetative buffer.
We're here about drainage. We're here about drainage though, right? Like,
Right, but we're picking
I-
up,
yeah, I mean, I almost feel like we need to do what's approved first and then circle back on the drainage after what was approved gets completed. Like,
I don't know if I agree with that, Marcus. I mean, to me, we have this one thing in front of us.
I know, but he was saying approve the drainage conditionally with this getting done later.
I'm saying,
I think-
I'm agreeing with that. I'm saying
Yeah.
I would only approve this with the conditions, the other present conditions get met. My vote would be conditional on other things being
First.
dealt with.
So I think what actually.
I want to see the landscaping done first, and then we can circle back on this drainage that we're supposed to be, no?
Drainage should be done too.
Because I feel like that's the consequence. If they want to get the approval for the drainage, they should first do what they were gonna do back in.
They should do the drainage before they
This
get
one does
occupancy too,
not,
though.
just
I mean,
shows the old
They should get the
stone
drainage
wall.
before they get the occupancy as well.
Of course, yeah.
You know, so both of them, they should all be done before, all be.
That's not,
But what he was just saying a second ago
I mean,
was,
I would, well, no, but that's how the drainage
today,
presented it.
and give them a conditional
It was a
permit for
campground
occupancy
layout.
while they still work on the landscape. It's like, no,
like I said, I
because
rewatched
you're gonna
it
keep pushing down the road.
I'm with you. on that.
Bring myself
That's why
up.
I'm saying
It was never, and I'll play the meeting, we can play the meeting.
approval here
again.
based on locking that
40
down.
minutes long or so. But it was a sidebar discussion. That meeting was specifically about the layout of the cabins. And I think if you removed other details from the plan that the board didn't catch, I think, you know, it's certainly disingenuous at best. If not, you know, if it was an attempt to remove the fence and not discuss.
No, this was removed. I was actually told after the meeting that the fence was to be removed from the plan. So if you look at the original submitted material versus what was given for sign off is gonna be different.
Sure. For the realigned campsites. You know,
Because the original plan that did come in front of the board still had the fence on it. It was after the meeting that the fence got removed for the approval. based
I
off
didn't
the
know
meeting.
that.
so, I mean, I don't.
I'd have to go back to my email.
So the original plan in 2021 that got approved,
2023.
no, the original,
Yeah, the original.
original, right? And then you came back in 2023 with a realignment of campsites.
Right.
There was no conversation, there's no application, indication
Minimum
of
height of
anything
6
else with
feet.
fences, drainage,
This,
any of the other stuff.
Yeah.
It was realigning the campsites to cut down the berm. And that's when the drainage should have been
I'll
addressed.
go back to my email.
Right, you know,
But
yeah.
anyway, my point still stands on if they use the 2023 plan
But
in the notes for designing the vegetation.
if the
Well,
board
those
wants to
fence.
accept that an
no
omission
fence,
from the
there's a
plan.
fence.
Item number 7 mentions a fence.
Right, I think that was a sleight of hand at best, if it was not the intention of that meeting.
A rough,
On the landscape plan, basically is calling for basically the fence.
a rough board fence to be 6 feet minimum height, starting at the knoll by Hall Road, and become 8 feet in height at elevation 328, and be 8 feet in height for the remainder of the fence. That's item number 7 that I signed.
Now with the berm there, the 8 feet doesn't really.
But, Ray, you're making the argument that because you didn't follow the site plan, then you can omit something else that's now is not needed because you didn't follow the original site plan. If they followed the original site plan, it wouldn't have got,
I'm trying to go on what was submitted, you know, that
Yeah.
plan. when that plan came back.
I guess it's up to
Just
the,
like I think at that meeting.
I mean, if you didn't
That
put,
meeting, the drainage kind of all changed.
But you
I mean, the catch
should have
basin-
been, sure.
So at that point, it should have been brought
But you came forward for a campsite realignment. You didn't say a drainage realignment. I mean, if you didn't put the septic on that plan in 2023, does that mean that you didn't need a septic? I think it's a leap of faith to think that you presented a plan with missing stuff and you think that that was what was approved when it wasn't what was talked about at the point of the meeting. I struggle with that.
Oh, yeah, I heard him say.
Pardon me?
Yeah, it seems like there's disagreement on what is needed to be done. And so it sounds like we need to get some.
Ray, I think one point, just, I specifically remember Andy talking about the fact that, because I felt the same, that that berm was choking out all those trees. And the question was raised, how long are those trees gonna last before they're gone? So it was addressed that something needs to be done, and we were told, oh no, the excavator's gonna dig them all out, and that was never done. So I think at this point, I know I personally would like to see whether you bring the same landscape plan that you're talking about. I'd like to see them come forward just to address the landscape plan with either an existing one they already have or a new one. And here's what's gonna be done, and it's gonna be done before the campers are occupied again next season.
That sounds like a good motion to everybody else. Come back within, what, 2 meetings by February with a new landscape plan?
Yeah, I mean,
Or should we,
I would agree with that, but if the applicant wants to come back with a phase plan of some sort, I guess I would listen,
Me too.
but right now, I'm with Bob, I want it all.
I just wanna know something's gonna be done.
Right.
So actual dates.
Just out of
I mean, that-
an abundance of clarity, I mean, I will read from that meeting. Todd explained that they would still be using the same drainage as the old topography. But not anywhere near the same drainage as the old
The
topography.
old topography, there was a hill.
I understand.
There was one drain that was further up where the road came down and the water was supposed to be caught there. It's all level now, so that part doesn't even need to be there.
Yeah, but Jamie's point was that requested and approved, and the answer is no. And that's why Jamie's got heartburn.
No, I understand that, but.
And the articulation of other stuff that was missing.
It's the same exact plan that Tobin designed, and instead of having the berm there, we have, none of the water runs off going towards the lake anymore. It stays where it is. Matter of fact, this whole season, we didn't even have to rake the road because there's no real washout on the place.
We're in a drought.
And, well, it's true, but, and when they came in at the end of the season and put filled it in to catch the catch basin, it's on site 1, 2, and 3. That's working, the swale's working, and the other catch basin in the road is working. And then we added the part up by the other part where by the road, where it was coming towards the road, and that drainage system is working. Tobin will say that we put in, put it in, and it's correct. So the water is not really running off you. We don't have, before when it was the pitch, we had a lot of runoff. But because it came down so far, the water, it doesn't have the pitch to even pick up speed or even go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. We're even gonna be tunneling up there.
We should close the open hearing, right?
Public comment.
Public comment, I'm closing public comment unless anybody else wants to speak, but I don't see anybody. Anybody online that is raising their hand?
I thought we did that first.
I think,
Anybody online who wishes to comment?
Well, after all this discussion, let's just see if
We have
anybody.
enough
We have one
speakers.
more.
Okay,
one in the audience?
Nobody.
okay, please speak. Name and address, please.
Matt Nicewinder, Rosemary Lane. I represent the Rosemary Lane Association. Just wanted to concerns. Fence, shrubbery, is that did reach out to several times during the summer and several emails asking if to talk and discuss and kind of so did say Lucy's here tonight. It's the whole neighborhood that's here. I drove Lucy. Just want to say that, so on listening to the we feel like it's watching out for us. It is to be and not to be reason for that was approved was to keep people to our neighborhood, giving us some sort of security buffer. Just having like random plants isn't really going to do that. Kids are going to climb over the banking to the Rosemary Lane residents back are in there. I think that we should kind of make sure that what was presented has been concerned. Never what is happening with the campground, because we're supposed to be doing stuff and we're not seeing it. Now that the trees are gone, leaves are falling from trees, you can see right in tops of, and you see it worse in Lucy's house because her house is at the top of the hill, out of windows, and I can see into these trailers. That means that I can see into hers. If the whole premise of giving permission and granting work to be done is based on having a good, solid buffer that kind of separated the commercial property. Is also designed, talked about, to help with noise as well, bushes and fence. So I'd just like to say that as the neighborhood representing it, I would like to see whatever happens moving forward. And again, we're willing to have conversations with Todd, but the agreement was with the town to just make sure that we're protecting Lucy's property, the neighborhood, that's it, and kind of gives, segregation between those two areas like it was originally planned. I understand that things didn't work out. The excavators took down more trees than they had to because they were dying or they were going to die. So just because that happened, now there's a lot less buffer there. It's just kind of.
They didn't take any trees down. They only took the trees down inside with
Well, where the berm was built up, they buried up roots of the trees. So those trees are going to die anyway because they're just being suffocated.
No trees would take
You
it down.
actually,
As a point of order, he's
You have
addressing the board.
we can't have conversations going on, so, I mean,
I'm just
I know.
I'm just trying to make the point that, it's not just Lucy's property, it's the whole neighborhood that is affected by this. And,
Right.
If there's going to be another plan submitted, fine, that's good. As long as I'll get our say and to do it. And if, you want to try to do something together with the town and, I think we're open for that too. We're not trying to be hard asses. We're not trying to, fight you. We're just hearing different things from what we originally thought was going to protect us. And we're just kind of looking to try to get back to that area of what was originally presented.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I'll close public comment now. I just know what to do with this.
Should we,
So-
should we continue this
We're gonna,
to a future meeting?
right, to maybe
and
the.
come before us with both the landscape design and the complete,
Landscape and fence design.
Yeah.
and the complete drainage.
Well, I mean, I would phrase it a little bit differently. Any changes from the existing approved plan?
Well,
Was there anything else?
Well, the landscaping, the
Right, landscaping,
and
fitness,
the drainage,
yeah.
both of those are
And
clearly.
no occupancy.
But anything else they want to change, they have to come forward with for approval. Anything else?
And to your question, Joyce, we don't know. You know, I certainly don't have, you know, my visit out there wasn't comprehensive to look at every turnover, every leaf to what was done, and infrastructure stuff, I certainly wouldn't know, but.
The snow one's gonna tell anyway, so, but they get, present the plan.
Can we read what it actually is gonna read? Say what it's gonna read.
Want to make a motion?
I'll elect my secretary here. Yeah.
When do you guys want to come back?
We're suggesting like early February.
With the plan.
Late January, early February.
I mean,
Oh,
give them
well,
a
we
month.
still have the revised plan that we should stick with, I think.
I guess that's the thing. It's up to the applicant, really. I mean,
Right.
if either they can build it the way it was approved and give them a deadline, or come back with something else. I think that would be,
There is
yeah.
agreement.
And-
There is agreement. The plan is right there approved. And it's approved.
But then all they have to do is come back with that plan, right?
Or something else.
Any deviation from the
Right,
plan.
and if
that
you
should be
deny
it.
it, and then you'd have the opportunity to deny it. If they come back with no fence and you
I mean,
want the
that-
fence, then that would
that
be
plan is-
opportunity. But at this point, I'd say it's the fence.
Item number 7 on the final one said a fence. It described it as 6 feet and then going up to 8 feet. The plan you just showed us, right?
All right, I'm gonna make a motion, but I need to know when you guys want to come back.
I mean, I'm not gonna be around end of January, beginning of February. So I don't know.
End of February? Is that what you said?
When's the end of what's the date for the end of February?
We just got it.
14 plus the 17. The work
February
session.
17th. February is the 17th.
I make a motion, we continue this
That's
application.
a work session, the public hearing is on the 3rd.
Can I jump in, Ron, real quick? Would the board like to ask if they'd like to just finish it as approved with the fence and
Vegetation.
look at the drainage, finish the drainage tonight and approve the drainage changes that they want to make? And then I would then say impose a deadline to finish that, and whether it's phased or some variation, or do they want to continue to come back with a different plan to
I
submit?
mean, for me, I want to look at all the changes at once. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, but what- but what-
If they're having changes, if drainage is just the only change that they're here for tonight and everything else they're gonna build to the plan, I guess that's the question you have to ask them. Okay.
Um,
I think we're digesting that. Whether we're changing the landscape plan or not. The drainage is what's there now.
But it's not complete, right?
What's that? No, it is, the changes are complete. The drainage changes are complete, as I said. So that's what this is what's showing that what's there now, which is different than what was approved. I've gone out there and I've looked at it.
And you approve it as an engineer.
I approve it as an engineer.
But you said you didn't look at certain things though, too, right?
So a few minor things. I guess that's why we paused everything,
Okay.
to make sure the board, I guess this is the biggest change.
Okay.
As the leaching catch basin, which makes sense to me as an engineer.
Okay.
And so it just got us nervous that, what if you don't agree?
Well, we'd have to send this to our engineer.
But I
We're not,
think
I'm not an engineer.
Well, I think that's a good question.
They've done it
Right?
between.
See what I mean? You think she?
John, we didn't before.
You
We
don't
didn't
have-
before, so we
No,
don't
you don't
have
have to, and if he's making the statement that this is a different version that accomplishes the same, then I would accept that, but that's up to the
All right,
board.
so
Everything is done. I'm just clarifying.
Right.
Everything's completed. All the little things,
No, I
they're all
think
done.
Not 100%, not 100% yet. I
This is
haven't
all done, but
gone
not
and looked at
100%.
that. There's some minor piping that hasn't been connected to it that if you want me to sign off on it, that's what I'm gonna have that.
Which pipe are you referring to?
The outlet pipe that from the, B2B1.
Oh, over there.
Well, I think we want it all signed off.
So it sounds like we've got to continue this. because he's not willing to sign off on it
Until
as
it's-
it is. I mean, I personally, I'm willing to accept the drainage
Yeah, okay.
as shown in the plan,
Right.
but I want it
That's
at
exactly.
a point where it
And
can be
then
signed
we have
off.
we have a landscape plan that didn't mean anything.
Correct.
That was signed off on, so, you know.
So you guys you want a decision on the drainage today? You're gonna live with the landscaping plan, or you're gonna come back with a landscaping plan?
The landscaping plan, I'm not sure where we're at with that. But there's gonna be no, right, I'm just gonna do the final cleanup on that, nothing is going to change, right? We wanted to make sure catch basins have been removed. Is that, and I see no problem with that as an engineer.
Okay.
Wanted to make sure everybody was on board.
Where are you, Bob? You wanna do the drainage now and then make them come back for the landscaping or not, depending on what it is?
That's, yeah, I think I'd be
all right.
fine with that.
Okay.
All right. We'll do that, I
All right.
think. I make a motion, we approve the landscaping changes as were presented.
No, the drainage.
Drainage, drainage. Yes,
Upon completion of his inspection and sign off.
correct, right.
I'll second that. Roll call.
Kathy and I.
Cappy LOI.
More than me. No.
Al and I.
Yeah. Driscoll, aye.
Great,
Yep.
great.
Okay.
Signing off on the drainage.
Drainage. Now, we still have the 23 plan, landscaping plan. That is the one that was signed off by me 2 years ago as a final plan.
So one of the questions on that Tyler was asking is, you know, with the berm there, everything being dropped, 8-foot fence doesn't seem to make sense.
It goes on top of the berm.
Right, it's gonna be huge.
Well, it's
So-
Mrs. Patano's land didn't change, so she's still looking at the same elevation. Everybody else is still looking at you. Just because you've dropped down doesn't change what other people are seeing. It changes what you're seeing out. But that's why the point was up there.
What we're saying is, so originally, okay, so here was her house, here was the campground. And that was the purpose of the fence. Now the campground's down here, there, she's looking out. The fence isn't gonna really,
I'm gonna cut you off. If you're recommending a change to the approved landscape plan, revise the plan and come back. Because right now you're saying this is as good as what we approved and you didn't give us anything to approve. So the answer to me is a hard no.
But part of the problem also
Neighbors
is,
are saying they still
as
see
was
the
mentioned,
And
that
have you driven by?
you have kids climbing up there and so forth.
You see everything.
Well, the privacy.
See every
issue.
fire pit,
The fence doesn't-
every
That's
pile
what
of
the
wood,
plan says.
firewood.
I know.
Revise the plan,
Well,
come
I
back
don't
with a
want to
revised
have them
plan.
come back and say, oh, we revised plan, there's no fence. No, that's a non-starter.
Well-
If the original plan said it has to be a fence.
I agree with you, but we can't, it's not hard no. They might present something that's magical. I doubt it, but you never know. You never know.
So
You
we
never
could
know.
say a revised plan that includes fencing and vegetation. A solid fence and vegetation.
Well, that was kind of the original
I mean,
plan.
I got a sense that's what the board's at. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and they should have
Just come
some
back with this
sketches of what it's gonna look like.
Period. If they want to keep the same thing, they can present that.
I don't think, no, if they want to keep the same thing, they
Wait a
don't have to
minute.
come back. They
Hold
just
on.
have to do it.
Okay.
Come up into the mic. Right here, you just sit, relax.
It's on wheels.
So what's the March meeting? This is for the landscape.
Third, I think it's the
Third and, third.
February, March.
March 3rd.
And what would be the submittal date?
There isn't one, that's work sessions. It's just, we only have one at the beginning.
No, this was gives
No.
material.
No, submittal date for
It's
the.
a submittal date.
It's like 2 weeks in advance, isn't it?
2 weeks usually.
Yeah, I think it's 2 weeks.
Okay.
For revised, yeah. So it's 15 days.
Oh, a week for revised?
Resubmittal April 7th.
You're reading it wrong.
Okay, I'm back. March 3rd.
So I guess we'll shoot for that right now. And then
March
if we have
3rd
to,
would
we'll
be
ask for a
submittal
continuance.
on February 17th.
February.
Okay, you wanna come back on the 3rd, you say?
March 3rd.
Okay, so if it was new, it would be February 11th, so you can go the week before. Is that enough? They're just doing a revision. They're not doing. So, Monday before.
No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I won't be, yeah,
Well, no,
With some sketches.
it's not March 2nd, it's the February.
No.
No,
It's a
March.
February, it's gonna be a
March.
February date.
What's our date in March we're going? to?
March
3rd. So
3rd.
the Monday before our meeting is the 2nd. We're talking about the Monday before that.
Yeah,
No,
February,
it might be the week before.
Yeah, the week before. The Monday before is the 2nd. No, it's the
It's February.
week before that. Whatever
2
the
weeks.
date that is.
Yeah.
Date
2
that-
Mondays.
I got that
before.
right. One Monday.
Yeah, yeah,
February 23rd.
yeah, there you go. The real date.
We could.
But essentially, I still keep coming back to the approval on the 23rd. I don't know how much change you're going to come back with, but the fence is a very important part of that.
Well, but you wanted us to come back with a revised landscape plan before we actually go to the landscape. That's where we're coming back.
Yeah, but.
Okay, you
He's
could
trying,
trade.
he's trying to help you.
Yeah, don't
His sense of the board is that a fence is, coming back with a fence, without a fence would be a problem. A difficult sell, a difficult sell.
It's going to be a difficult sell, just for the privacy reasons that were
My
mentioned.
recommendation to Todd was that we should get a professional to come out and look.
Okay,
Get a company to come out and look and tell us what they think is needed to fulfill what.
Right.
what-
But a lot of it is-
Those requirements is what we're.
right. A lot of it was privacy for the homeowners, their
And
backyard.
security, so people couldn't walk
And
through.
security, just people from the campground and want to wander around. That's,
Put a fence in, so there's no problem building a fence. I don't have a problem building it. I'm just trying to figure out the height of it. If it's 8 feet, the wind catches it, that was we had to build pots off it because it's a berm. I'm afraid the wind's gonna catch it.
We don't
loosen
need
it
to
up.
talk about it today, though.
No, I know, I'm just saying, I'm just 6 foot.
I think, I think it's that's coming, when you come back, we'll discuss it. We want to move
8
on.
foot, I have a lot of problems with the wind.
I'll make a motion that they return on March 3rd.
I'll second it.
All right,
Check it
now
out.
how many, who was
Captain
the
I.
first one?
John, Ron.
Joyce?
Yeah.
We had lots to say.
You can rest,
Take it, Joyce.
arm wrestle for that. Roll call?
Check it out.
Captain I.
Capiello, aye.
That's here, right?
Alan, aye.
Driscoll, aye. Man. It's been a, yep, enjoy the holidays.
Oh, Marcia's my cruise.
Lucky you, you won't be here.
I'll be here for the 3rd. Damn it, I'll be here for the 3rd, damn it.
Still think,
Do we want to look at the minutes?
yeah, we're gonna do minutes next as soon as I can find the,
That's perfect.
let me borrow this.
Yeah, but what about?
Get lost in my paperwork.
The lawyer's
All right.
gonna look at that word?
Everybody clear out? We're gonna go to item
Yeah, but not related.
3C.
The Dove District, right? The other zoning,
Conversations
like
here.
feasibility of yield plans. I assumed one was gonna do that.
We're waiting for
Yeah,
things to
So I
go.
have a question.
Yes,
So I know that we discussed zoning as related to the Dove development, but was the last meeting, remember, I wasn't here, were you all happy with the wording of the zoning amendments that were approved separate from the Dove district? Or were we waiting on Laura to look at some of that language?
well, Laura's had a whole bunch of,
So she hasn't responded
Yeah.
yet,
She has.
She did
Okay.
today.
Yeah.
but she's
But that was on
responded,
Dove.
but we don't have a plan.
but
We're
we
gonna-
don't have that
No,
information?
you,
Ernie, we don't have that information? Because we just have the Dove district comments. Right?
No, she gave us a complete rundown of everything. I made all the changes that she requested, and I provided all the verbiage at the back of the notice.
Oh, did I miss some of that?
Yeah.
Are you at 3C?
3C.
Yeah.
3C.
3C. 3C, right here.
Okay, I didn't move beyond the tables. Okay. I thought that was the end of it, I guess.
Okay, 3C, proposed zoning amendments, public hearing. Let's describe below. Any discussion on any of these zoning things before I open it to public comment? Guys could take the conversations outside.
I'm sorry, where are her comments?
Evidently, if you go past the table, which I didn't do, then there's more here. There's like a couple of pages in here before you get to
These are
the
your
Dove district.
changes, right?
Yeah. So would you like me to?
Yeah, why don't you, yeah,
Alright,
do an
okay.
intro.
All right, so as far as these are concerned with the zoning amendments, Laura was fine with the intent behind most of them. However, she reworded them extensively to make them a little clearer and less confusing. So I'll just go through them quickly, if that's all right. Zoning amendment 1 was the innovative land use control.
Okay.
So all she did was she amended that to say, to amend Article 1.4 authority to identify statutory authority under which ordinance is adopted and to identify the sections of the ordinance that are adopted pursuant to RSA 674-21 innovative land use control. And if you remember, John had provided a list, if you go to attachment 1.
Okay.
The attachments corresponded to the.
Just so people would know what we're talking about.
Yes, I agree. 'cause
So
otherwise
what
they're
this
not.
language does is allows you to go through and just update these every year. If you add an innovative land use.
Yep.
But so what we could do is put in that list, as John suggested, but all we need for the warrant article is what Laura
Okay.
pared it down to.
Okay.
And one of the things I do want to point out also is that ADUs are not innovative land use. They have their own section.
Okay.
Jamie double checked.
I think what I was reading is that a lot of towns consider them as part of it. They're not specified through the A through J in the regulation.
They took it out in 2017, I think.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
Okay.
they took it out in 2017 and put it into that other section. So
Okay,
it's
that's
now-
fine with me.
When they made it.
Yep. And we probably will be adding one if we do this development sub-district, right? Because as they mentioned, that is an innovative land use control.
Correct.
So we
Yeah,
definitely
that's
need
what's going before the people.
So do you want to ask anybody if they have any comments on these?
Yeah, for each one, you want to do open and close?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna open this public comment on proposed zoning amendment number 1, innovative land use clarification amendment. Anybody on screen? Obviously, nobody's here physically, so.
Anybody wish to
Raise
make
your
a
hand.
comment that's online, please raise your digital hand. No.
Hearing none, closing public comment. On to number 2, right?
Yep.
Zoning amendment number 2, change of use. I thought we did all this. Redo it? Do we have to
No, that was the support to moving forward to continue talking, but on the ballot, it says the board voted 4-1 to recommend this. Board voted, 3-2.
Okay.
So if this is the final meeting for these, that would be appropriate.
Okay, we should do
To
that.
have that vote.
Is there a
on
motion?
whether you Support or don't support.
Is there a motion to support number 1?
It's not a motion, it's just a matter of
Oh,
taking a
okay.
vote.
I think the appropriate thing, and Ernie can correct me, is a motion to put this on the ballot, and then the vote will reflect how you.
Gotcha.
I'll make the motion, put it on the ballot, second by
I'll second.
Bob.
Cat can I?
Happy yellow eye.
Tessie, or I?
Alan, aye.
Driscoll, aye. Okay, ready to go to number 2?
Actually,
No, I think we just did.
What?
so we were voting, all what the town sees is whether we vote to put it on the ballot or
Whether
not,
you
whether we
support.
support.
No,
Well,
it shows
the
people,
language will say you support it by voting in favor, you
Okay,
support
that's
it.
fine.
You voted against.
well,
it.
here it says this, yeah, planning board supported it 6-0. Okay.
All in favor.
Yep, zoning amendment number 2, change of use determination by zoning administrator. Are you in favor of amendment number 2, Barrington zoning board? Okay, I'll open it to public comment. Any flashing lights on there? Any signals, smoke signals? Okay, closing public comment. Is there a motion to, for the board
Did
to?
Laura have any comments on that one? Sorry.
It doesn't look like she did.
All she did was she pared down the language of the warrant article, so.
And and the original stuff's on the back. Are you making that motion, or I'll make the motion to,
Make a motion, we approve this motion? We approve this amendment?
Forward.
Amendment to
I'll second that, roll call.
Cat can I?
Tessie,
Happy yellow eye.
Tessie, or I?
Alan, aye.
Driscoll, aye. Okay. Zoning amendment number 3, disallowance of multifamily structures in the general residential district. Is there I'm opening public comments. Any gestures? Okay, seeing none, closing public comment. Is there a motion for the board to support this zoning amendment number 3?
Since you made that motion, I will second it.
Roll call.
Shepherd, aye.
Cat, can I?
Capello, aye.
Jesse, right?
Alan, aye.
Zoning amendment number 4, updated the ADU legislation, requires changes to Article 3.5, accessory dwelling units. Anybody, I'm opening to public comment. Anybody up there? People are dropping off here.
Anybody up there need that? I called him on and he left.
Okay, I saw you. Is there, I'll make a motion that we, the board supports this article.
I'll second
So
it.
I'm writing these motions, I say to move it to the warrant and.
Oh, move it to the warrant. You want official language? Is there a motion to move these, this amendment to the warrant?
You're making it, right? I'll second it.
Roll
Shepherd,
call,
aye.
yeah. I'll make a motion.
Capello, aye.
Jesse, right?
Alan, aye.
Driscoll, aye. Okay, zoning amendment number 4. Oh, we just did that. Okay, let's go to number 5. Zoning amendment number 5, conservation subdivision yield plans. Is there anyone online that would like to comment on this zoning amendment?
Nobody.
Hearing none, closing public comment.
So Laura didn't have much to say about this one, it looks like. I thought she might.
Well, the only comment was that she thought that it would discourage people from wanting to do conservation subdivision. But I think, I mean, what's not really changing here is at this point, I think you're making sure that they understand they need to meet all of the requirements that you have spelled out in your subdivision regulations. And then you have the ROA calculation. But the only comment that she really had was that she thought it would just become something that was onerous for people and they wouldn't pursue the conservation subdivision. But I don't know if that's as much a legal opinion as it is just an opinion.
Yeah.
But this is gonna be tested in the courts anyway. It
Well,
seems like this is part of,
a new developer would have to come forth and do it.
yeah, but it seems like we're going to the cost method of ROI. I'm trying to remember what the document said about the current legal action being taken against us. Is this wrapped up in that, and do we have legal justification to require this type within the statute? Because I think the developer was arguing we didn't have the right to do that, I thought. But maybe-
Right, I think they were, but it won't affect them.
I think what they were looking at was the
Yeah.
language that's in your ordinance now, and they were just drawing inferences to some of the contradictions, or drawing your attention to some of the contradictions in it, so, or at least what they perceived to be.
What they-
Well, they also, I don't want to get involved in this too deeply, but they also were talking about last March
Right.
and what we did.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Okay.
just
Yeah,
have
so
this
let us-
be in their bonnet.
I'll make a motion to put zoning amendment 5 on to them.
I'll second that. Roll call.
Shepherd, aye.
Cat, can I?
Capello, aye.
Jesse, right?
Alan, aye.
Driscoll, aye. Zoning amendment number 6, clarifying definition of the term setback. Is there, I'm going to open public comment on this zoning amendment. Seeing nothing?
I do have a comment, but this is the
Well, I'll
one,
close, oh, you were public comment. Go ahead.
right, this is, Laura had pointed out something, we were misunderstanding what she was saying, or at least I was.
All right, yeah.
But she wanted to make sure that the word "or" was added in the last sentence between street and right-of-way. So the last sentence, where it says, "where a yard abuts a street or travelway, the setback is the area line between the abutting street or right-of-way line and the furthest projection of any building or structure."
So we're adding "or" here.
Right, and it does change the meaning of the whole thing, so it's something that needs to go forward to January 6th, just
Right.
for you, so.
But I don't even see it in red here.
Yeah, I don't see it on either one.
What's that?
I don't see it on red here, Ernie.
No.
And I don't see it under page, whatever it is.
Yard abuts a street.
I think
No,
she had,
I just had to add that now, because when she looked at it here, she discovered that that word was not in this
Oh.
one. So what I'm saying is that we have to add it tonight,
Okay,
add the word "or" between street and right of way, and then move it forward, continue this part of the hearing.
To
to
January
January
6th.
6th.
Yeah. Okay,
Apologies, that came from a phone conversation at 2:00 today.
yeah, okay.
I make a motion, we amend Amendment 5 as 6 to add "or" between abutting street or right of way.
And to put it onto the warrant.
No, move it forward to the January 6th public hearing.
We have to continue the hearing.
I second.
Shepherd, aye.
Capiello, aye.
Tessie, aye.
Alan, aye.
Driscoll, aye. To
First, second.
To January 6th. on that one.
7, we don't do that.
So the
Right,
first-
we're not
you
ready
made
for zoning
Two
seven.
motions or one motion there?
She
That
just-
one was to add the word "or."
Right, you need a motion to
Continue this.
continue it to
Yeah, we
January
just made the
6th.
motion to move it to January 6th.
Oh, that was part of the motion, or a new motion?
Right.
That's a new motion, right?
Yeah.
Right now?
So you want a new motion?
I'll make
Okay.
that motion, seconded by
Capiello.
Joyce Capiello.
Shepherd, aye.
Capiello, aye.
Tessie, aye.
Alan, aye.
Driscoll, aye. Okay.
And that's where you got.
Should we
That's where I
do
got you.
zoning amendment 8 then?
Yeah, you already continued this one at the beginning of the meeting. You
I
continued
thought that
this
was
Yeah,
seven.
this is a,
Yeah, 7 we did.
this one is to January 6th.
You go to 8, I think 8.
Yeah, we made that motion already, right? Yeah, so, okay.
So Scott's right, we should go to 8.
Yep, number 8, compliance with other regulations. Open it to public comment.
We're going at 9.
Not seeing any activities, closing public comment. All right, we're in zoning amendment 8. Is there a motion to place this on the warrant?
I'll second John's motion.
Shepherd, aye.
Play a motion?
Captain, aye.
Capiello, aye.
I'm crying over that.
Alan, aye.
Driscoll, aye. All right.
Minutes?
So, could, for clarification, might zoning amendment 7 actually be this long on the ballot?
No,
One,
that's the thing, that's why, so that language you
three,
saw in the
four,
first part is
five.
what Laura cut it down to, the legal language from the ballot. But if you go to the red line section, that would be the full language that would be adopted.
And
Yeah.
that's gonna be the
That would go in our
voter guide.
regulations, all that red stuff.
The full version of it will be in the voter guide.
Correct.
Okay, okay,
Right here.
okay.
Okay.
So we're having one more meeting?
Yeah.
For zoning?
Yeah,
January 6th.
For number 4, can I just make a motion to approve the minutes?
I have one.
Yeah, do we have to do each
All of
one of
them?
these? We do.
Before we do,
Okay,
well, try to do one at a time.
go ahead.
On E, I voted nay and it was recorded as yay.
Okay.
I don't think I took yours.
Oh, you want to change?
I don't know why, I can't hear you.
I wanted,
We don't have the line numbers or anything.
I'll,
Well, you can make a reference to it.
go
It's
through
on the
one at a time.
record.
I'll find it by then.
Okay.
There's right there.
Which one do you want to edit?
December 3rd minutes, he'd like to make a change on one of the,
So they're gonna.
No, it reflects what I actually did.
just, hopefully it's just the
So
one
could we
thing
just
here.
make a motion to approve all the minutes in E with the edits?
I'll second that one.
All right.
The edit, by the way, is on page 4 of E. Andy Knapp made a motion, and it's, everyone is yay. I was nay on that.
What was the motion about?
No, he's saying just, that's the one edit and they'll approve it with that one edit.
Yeah, so
Change him to a
I made
nay,
a motion
please.
to language add without waivers.
Remember that? I voted nay on that.
Okay, okay.
I know, I know I'm not close to the mic, it's hard to hear me, but I was a nay on that.
Okay.
I think you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just.
Does anybody have any new business? Or do we just want to adjourn?
So, be quiet.
Very quickly.
Wait a minute.
If there's an appetite, and I didn't want to throw a wrench, and I wish I would have had this sooner, but this is just adjustment to the mixed use thing. There's a couple issues always. I'll use two examples.
So are you proposing a new warrant
This would-
article?
yeah, this would be, yes. And so if there's no appetite, no hurt feelings, I just wanted to bring it up. I should have brought it up sooner, and I apologize, and something for next year is perfectly acceptable. But like Wildlife Encounters is a good example where there's a residential component and a site review. Under current regulations, anything placed or erected. So if the guy wants to build a deck on his house, he's got to go back here to build a deck on his house. It just seems onerous and pretty difficult.
We talked about this before.
Yeah,
I know, and
this
I
is,
didn't have
yeah.
it ready in time, and I
Okay.
apologize, it's all my fault. So I wrote it, if it's
Right, I remember you talking.
decent language and could be noted for the next meeting, it could be put in as a last minute thing, but again, I don't wanna cause more work or trouble. I just wanted to, if it seems that it's helpful and it, you know, my spiel on it really is like someone like Wildlife Encounters, agree or disagree with him, you know, it really put him in a hard spot to live there and run a business. And so now he's contemplating not. There's another property owner that has site review for a store that they haven't used in 10 years, and they don't want to come back to the planning board to rescind their site review, so they can't do anything to their house. You know, so this wouldn't be my intention, and I think I wrote language that would say, you know, for a multifamily apartment building, no, they're not going to get a permit for an ADU or to build a garage over there without coming back. But for those ones, the ice cream place over here, you know, big, beautiful residential home with an ice cream parlor, she'd have to come to planning board for everything, you know, if she wanted to build something that was for the residential component. And so once you start looking at it, there's multiple properties in town that fit that, and where we still have it in our zoning that you can do mixed use with a residential structure. It just makes sense to allow, the other one is, if I don't know if anybody remembers going back that far, that, you know, the old Hatch property that they lived in like a capped foundation, and then they had an office, and then before they sold it, they swapped it.
Yeah.
You know, so technically those people, and this is kind of what spurred my last minute thing, was they want to come in and do something, but they've got a site review. Do they got to rescind their site review, or, you know, they haven't used that office in 5 or 6 years. The people sold the business and the building. They don't live there. The people that have, I don't think they even have a clue that they've got a site review on their property, but technically it says anything placed or erected. So I should theoretically send them back here for, you know, to build a deck on their house. So I think this would solve that for those unique properties and allow some flexibility for residents who have business uses. And so if it looks easy and worth the time, then.
So we officially look at it on the 6th.
Pardon me? We'd have to notice it for the 6th.
Yep.
Okay.
If
and
We can do
then-
that.
And you'd have to have a second hearing on that or
You
not?
wouldn't have
Just
to.
would, okay.
Right.
Do you need to have it looked at by council?
Certainly shoot it
Yeah.
off to her. Yep.
Probably.
Yep,
I mean,
wouldn't
she's
hurt.
been good at like shrinking language.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
good.
Quick question though.
Yes.
Site review is for commercial, multifamily.
This is yours, Aaron.
So residential wouldn't fall in the site review, so other examples were residential.
Yeah, so you know, Wildlife Encounters is a great example. The residential component with his Wildlife Encounters thing, he can't do anything on his house really, outside the house. He can fix up the inside. But outside the house, if he wanted to build a chicken coop or a shed, it says anything placed or erected, so I tell him no, and he just goes home with his tail between his, I don't wanna go back to the planning board. You know, so he wants to rescind his site review altogether, so he can have his house back.
But a accessory structure such as a deck or a shed under 200 square feet wouldn't be a structure anyway, so that wouldn't necessarily, a chicken coop wouldn't apply to it.
Well, only because of the most recent thing where you allowed me to do 200 square feet, but prior to that, it was anything placed or erected. You know, if someone wants to come in and move their dumpster pad, they really got to come back to you, for, you know, up until they, you know, you did that 200 square foot thing.
I guess the only other question I have is accessory structure such as, you include a garage, which seems to me to be not an accessory structure essentially.
It's accessory to a residential, you know, you have a garage, you know, I don't know if I don't have a garage, but you know, most people have a garage on their home, so it would be accessory to a residential use, and it's listed that way in our tables of uses. You know, so if you have a single family home and you want to put a garage addition on your home for the home and not for the business portion, then you'd have to come back to planning board for a site review, because it's anything placed or erected. So that's kind of
Do an easier one, like a deck, if they tear the deck off. and put
Well, I think a
new one on,
garage is
they
a
gotta
great
change
one,
it.
because that's, if someone has a,
But so you're saying if I got a mixed-use structure, let's say I have two separate buildings, so it's a mixed-use development. So I have a commercial over here and residential over here. You're saying right now, if I change anything on the residential, you gotta come back for permission?
that's how I've been administrating, because it says anything placed or erected.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a little hard.
It's tough, yeah, it's tough for people that are trying to do, in the Hatch one that came up more recently was like, they just came for site review for a home office. And I wasn't privy to that one, so I probably, made a mistake there, previously, because I didn't even realize, I didn't do the research, because it was a single-family home, the people came in and said, can I rebuild my deck? And I said, of course. And I think they were in the same footprint, so I probably didn't, stray too outside the lines, but it just brings up another example that if they were running that office, for whatever reason, came and got site review, now they're encumbered by that. The other one is, heading down Route 9, on the left-hand side, the old, sheepskin business or whatever it was.
It was the rice.
That's still got site review for that storefront that they don't use. And so it just, they wanted to come in and do stuff, and I said, go talk to the planning board.
Sounds like a good deal.
Yeah.
I thought I saw Jamie chasing the sheep around up in Wildlife Encounters. the other
Well,
day.
someone's got to wrangle those things and make a warm coat. It's been cold this last week.
That's not an exotic animal.
Yeah, that's right.
If anybody has time to read it over, and if you see any corrections before the next meeting, I'd be happy to look at those and incorporate them outside the meeting if we send them individually.
gonna run it by the
Maybe that
attorney.
will streamline things, and if you just get to the point where you say it's not worth it, then that's fine too, but,
Well, that sounds a smart thing to do, isn't it?
Sounds better.
Editorializing here, but,
I could do.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn, I'll second that, roll call.
What was the first?
Capiello, aye.
Scott, I was second.
Alan and I.
Driscoll, aye. Okay. Scott?